This is gospel music 24/7.
Become the worship cry.
The opinions expressed in this show do not reflect the views of WBND Studios or any associated affiliates.
Yo, P.
What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm back, everybody. What's up? What's up? I'm back, everybody. I was on a little vacation and I had to let Mr. Entertainment and his family have a break from me. So I am back in the building. Welcome to the El Michelle Show on WBND Radio. Again, if you don't have the app, download on the Apple Store or Google Play and listening on TuneIn Radio. What's going on, everybody? Tonight, I have a story that needs to be heard. It's going to be told, but I need to address a couple issues. One, I want to send prayers out to everybody that's in Greensboro. Let you know that help is on the way. You know that help is on the way. So people, everybody, they're coming to help. Stand by. Keep praying. Trouble don't last always. God is in control. The tornado was not in control. Then I want to send a shout out to my in the motorcycle community, to the 85 South Renegades. They lost a member last night. So all the 85 South Renegades, throttle hand up. You know what prayers. Senator loves you, and I'll be praying for y'all, and I'll be talking to y'all soon. Then I want to address one more person. I don't care if she calls me or sends for me. I don't know if y'all heard. Wendy Williams.
I heard.
Had the audacity.
Come on.
And the nerve to come after the Clark sisters. Mm-hmm. You can come after a whole lot of other people. And you can talk, but what you not going to do, Wendy, is come after the Clark sisters that has won numerous Grammys as individuals, and you dealing with Dr. Maddie Moss Clark, okay, children. So Wendy, go get a life, go buy all of their albums, and then go get a life again. Because I don't know any Grammy that you have. Matter of fact, like somebody said, I don't even think your show's #1 anymore. Okay? But don't you dare come after the Clark sisters. You can always find me, Wendy. We can always talk. But you don't want none of this either. Ooh. Because, see, we know about the Clark. Ooh. Oh, yeah, no, you done messed up now. You know, and you especially messing with Twinkie, Dorinda, Karen, and Jackie. You better go sit down somewhere and act like you know.
I didn't get the backstory, though, because there's a behind the scenes of everything, like why she said what she said.
Who cares? It's Wendy.
I know. But
so, no.
She's Wendy. She get the ticket to say what she want to say.
But she ain't going to get a ticket to go see them. I bet she going to pay full charge. Hey. and then, don't let Twinkie get on the Hammond. Yeah. She going to play that lace wig right off of her forehead. Oh, my. Okay. Bless so, Wendy Williams. Anybody know Wendy? Send this to Wendy. Don't come for the Clark sisters, okay? Do not come for the Clark sisters,
I heard social media was going crazy.
Oh, what everybody went on her. I just happened to flick
and saw it.
Everybody went. She better be Facebook. I'm just saying, everybody, what's going on Facebook? But I'm going to now turn it back to the reason why we are here tonight. Oh, dang, I almost sounded like I was about to preach.
Wendy Williams in the house.
I was about to pass the prayer
around. Right. I was about to just say the prayer.
I just get the not the sermonic hymn, but what's the when you got the deacons and you got the bishop, everybody come. I forgot the rejoice, folks, rejoice. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But tonight I have in the building, and I'm about to turn the cameras and everything to Miss Evans. I want y'all to hear her story. Sanji, hush, I'm not preaching. Anyway, but tonight there was a story that was on Facebook about sex trafficking, and I had to reach out to this mom, and I want y'all to hear her story, and I want y'all to call in. Let me give you a number real quick also. 803-692-6370. And just any words of encouragement, any advice, just questions you have. And hear this mom's story. If you have kids, you have don't have kids like I do, but grandchildren, godchildren, everybody needs to hear this story. And I'm going to turn this over now. Miss Evans, thank you for coming. Let me just turn that thing around so you can see this beautiful, beautiful queen right here, y'all. This beautiful queen right here. I just want to say thank you for answering my call to come and hear your story. I want you to know that we are praying for you, praying for your daughter, and tell everybody what has been going on with you.
Whew. Everything has been going on. As far as where would you like me to start? As far as what's going on, as far as
just
everything, my whole family has changed. So
I'm telling y'all, when I talked to her, I was at my life changed just by listening to your story. Just tell everybody the journey, what's going on with what happened with your daughter and everything.
Okay, brief story is I sent my daughter to school back in December 2016. I sent her to school, and after school she did not arrive home off of the school bus, which was strange. And so automatically I knew something wasn't right. So I went directly to the school. I got a phone call first. Let me back up. I got a phone call asking did I have my daughter. And I said, no, she should have got off the bus. And they said, well, she didn't get off with your son. And I said, well, she should have. Maybe she stayed after school. Let me go up to the school. She liked to join things. She's a social butterfly. Let me go to the school. So I went to the school. And when I got to the school, I asked them, was my daughter here? Could they do an all call? And the lady, she called and she said, your daughter's not here. And I said, well, she have to be because there's nowhere for me to check. And she, at that point, said, I went back. She said she's sorry she's not here. I went back to where she's supposed to got off of the bus, which is the neighborhood we live in, and started to talk to the kids in the neighborhood, asking them, like, have y'all seen her? When was the last time you seen her type of deal? Everybody told me they seen her probably around lunch period, but no one had seen her since then. Wow. So I said, okay. So instantly I called the police. And for some strange reason, it wasn't 24 hours, and they let me put a missing person report in. So I was kind of out of it, so I thought, well, maybe they care, So I did the missing person report. The next day, I went to the school the next morning. She had never stayed out, ever in life. So I went back to the school, hoping that, maybe is the first time for everything type of deal. But for sure, she's 14 at the time.
At the time, okay.
They're asking, where did this take place at?
Yes.
South Mecklenburg High School.
Oh, wow.
Here in
Charlotte?
In Charlotte.
In Charlotte. And what's your name for the audience?
My name is Chantal Evans. And so she, and I'm sorry, because it's my first time.
It's okay. No, they're just asking questions.
Okay.
You're fine.
So she, anyway, we...
Take your time.
Wow.
Okay. So I went back to the school the next day, and I asked the receptionist, because she helped me find my daughter, and that I knew for sure that something happened. And I think at this point, I began to just say, like, somebody help, like, somebody tell me something. And they told me to calm down. They would get somebody for me, so they sent a staff down. She talked to me, and I won't say names, but she talked to me. And when she talked to me, she told me that she would look at the cameras. She had worked with me before. I had 2 children that graduated from that school, so they were familiar with me. So she said she would look at the cameras. I asked, could I look, please, too, with them? And they said no, that I could not look. So I said, okay. And then, I'm sorry, y'all. And then I talked to, I believe I called the police back again. I began to, like, just kind of go around Charlotte. I'm not from Charlotte, so I was lost.
Wow.
And I called my family, and I told them what was going on. So they came out to Charlotte the next day. And I had, like, 2 friends maybe here. And then I had, like, just a few people starting to reach out online saying how could they help me in a search to find her. At the time, the police really wasn't responding to us. They they just wasn't existent.
And what was the time frame from?
This is the next day. So I last seen my daughter at 6 a.m. in the morning on it may have been a Wednesday.
Okay.
I seen her, and I didn't see her for almost 4 days.
Wow.
So for day 2, I go back to the school. Like I said, I'm searching, I'm asking questions, probably losing it at this time, walking outside, printing out flyers, everything that you would do to look for your child. So still know my child. That they 3 come, and they begin to treat her case as a homicide. So I was called down to the station to talk to homicide detectives, and they explained to me how it would go, and pretty much prepared for me not to see my daughter again. So I told myself that, first of all, I prayed. I prayed. And I was raised by a praying grandmother. And at this point, my grandmother not too long ago had passed, so I just went into her spirit and I said, like, she's going to come back, like, somehow. Day 3, I began searching again, looking in dumpsters, trash cans, walking everywhere, calling out, pretty much just dropped to my knees and kind of just let go. And then I had got a call from Million Youth March of Charlotte, and they prepared to do a candlelight vigil. So at this point, I just I can't tell you how I felt. I heard people, I seen people, my family had came, but I really wasn't, I can't tell you really where my mind was. So at about maybe 11:58, I think, my mother, she was doing a call for Facebook for help if anybody seen my daughter. And I guess just being a mother trying to keep me up. And so then we got a call at about 11:58. I remember like 2 minutes before the next day. And I remember praying, just telling God, like, you gotta bring her back. And the officers told me I need to get to the hospital right away. And I went down to Carolina's Main, and my daughter was there. She was assaulted in every way you probably could imagine, but she was alive.
Thank God.
And that was the biggest thing for me. And as long as she is alive and was alive, like, that's just, like, every day I'm still just, like, amazed, just, like, kind of looking at her, talking to her. But some of the ways how I got her back, she found a cell phone. And this is what she told me. She said she found a cell phone. She was locked where she was locked at. She wasn't able to come there, but they had left her alone for a minute. So she said she began to search and do things. And the cell phone she had, I still have the texts. She found Wi-Fi signal because she wasn't allowed to have a phone because I don't like social media. So we didn't have a phone to trace. We didn't have any of that. So she found a phone, and then I started to receive, like, messages like, help me. But before she started to send that, it was other messages that was coming through telling me that I could get it back if I had X amount of dollars. So they started to try to do the blackmail, extortion, and those type of mental games and stuff like that. Yeah, we went through that. Amongst her search, like, I was getting all kinds of Facebook messages from people, even still I don't know.
And during this process, where were the police involved as far as from the communication standpoint? Nothing? They pretty much just, whenever I would call them or send them an email, they would reply, like, through an email. The news, they lied. Nobody would, so during this whole process, nobody would interview me. The news would not interview me. Nobody would interview me. So it almost seemed like just another number almost.
It was. I mean, I'm bold enough to say really that it was.
Jeez.
And
I'm talking slow because I'm over the angry part because I understand the blessing in it all, which is having my daughter. And like now we homeschool and everything. So I always got my daughter with me. So that's the blessing. But as far as like help, looking, searching, no teachers, no police, nobody, so nothing. Much
you did everything with family and friend support and stuff like that. Now the person that did all this, where is he or them or where, who, what?
He is incarcerated.
Okay.
So when she was found with the person that done whatever he
was
had
she
done.
Here
in Charlotte? She
okay.
was found in Charlotte. And so with her, and recently I just asked my daughter like what happened, and when I say recently, I probably mean like maybe since you and I talked.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So like as far as the details, because as a mother, I seen enough with the evidence. So I seen all the DNA. I told you I sat in court by myself, so I was pretty much, people made money off of me. Wasn't a lot because I didn't have a lot, but just the story in itself. I wanted help, so I just was, going around just saying, like help, somebody help me, type of deal. So I had seen enough as far as like what they had and the stuff during the trial. But in trial and everything, I sat by myself, and even with the DA, I asked her. I said, nobody allowed me to see anything with my daughter. Like, I'm not saying tell me everything, but at least show me something so I can help her heal.
Right.
She told me no. She told me she would not give me the motion of discovery. So I still don't know anything. Everything was kind of held from me. And so when I even tried to get like my own attorney, I found out that it was always a conflict of interest because all of them work for the school system. So no police, no attorney,
state's attorney,
no newspaper. Even like if I try to like send out like a message and say, hey, because now what I've started doing was I said, you can knock me down, but I'm not staying down.
Yeah. Right.
So what I started to do, check out legislation. Since they didn't help, maybe they couldn't. Maybe they mandated not to. As far as black and brown and what I'm seeing and the numbers and the data and everything, the treatment, and even with myself, my daughter is darker than me. And even with myself, I started to evaluate. I said, there's a such thing as even light skin rights.
Let's go back for a second for the ones that are just joining. Did this happen on school property or off of school property?
I'm glad you asked that. It happened on school property. So the person went into the school. And my daughter, she tells me that he came into the school. She was it was a student that was paid to trade her. So kind of the recruiter. I'm learning about trafficking. So now I'm learning what is it to be a recruiter and what is it to be, the person that's brought.
Listen.
So it was 2 boys. And like I said, I found this out recently.
What about them? Are they doing anything about that?
No, the state only prosecuted just one person, the person in which we had. The school, when I mentioned which one person, I already knew because we had actually everything that happened to my daughter when she was in about the 7th or the 8th grade. A student came to me and told me that that's what happened to him.
Wow.
But he was upset with me because she wasn't allowed to have cell phones, and they kept giving her cell phones. And then I'm a tattletale, so if I see I volunteer sometime at the school, so if I see a student passing along something they're not supposed to, I'm going to tell a professional. So that's what I did. And 2 years later, my daughter, when she went on to high school, before I was asking Quail Hollow Middle School at this point.
Yeah, let's go to the phone lines. WB&D caller, you're live on the air. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Terry Simmons. I'm calling from Delaware.
Hey, Terry.
Hello, Terry.
Can you hear?
Hi there.
Hey, Terry, how are you? Did you have a comment?
I'm good. Yes, first of all, I want to offer up many prayers and apologies for this poor mom and her daughter. I mean, this is just, it's absurd. And it's heartbreaking. And for this school system to not allow this mother to see the video, number one, right off the bat, that is so wrong.
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
And I tell you what, I am ready to get in my car and hop down there, and Lynette will tell you, I'll fight for you.
Thank you.
I will take every single one of them on.
I welcome you.
Wow.
Yeah, like I
but
said,
I mean, my support is with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Don't give up fighting this.
Yes, ma'am.
You just keep fighting.
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
only for yourself, but for your daughter and whoever else this could happen
others,
to.
yes.
And I
That's
hope
good.
this school has changed their policy on how these kids can come and go freely.
They really haven't. I'm a stylist, and it's heartbreaking to say that this has actually followed me on my job. So I had a new client actually recently, recent as last week, and she came in and she got her hair done, and we were discussing. I always ask my clients, do you have children and family and things of that nature? And she expressed to me, yes, she do have a child, and she expressed that her child actually went to South Mecklenburg High School. And she did have some concerns about attendance and changes in her behavior. And her story actually sound remotely close to mine. So I did offer my service and told her that, I would be willing to collaborate with her and her daughter to see how could we assist her, and even let her meet my daughter, to see if we can make sure we prevent some things, and even see if some things had happened that she may have needed, help and support with. So that's what I'm doing now in the communities. I'm pretty much supporting moms like myself.
Amen. That's good.
And children as well like myself.
Power in numbers.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely power in numbers. That's why I wanted you to get on here so that more people can hear the story. I got on Facebook before I got here and told everybody to call in to see what more we can do to get the word out there. And Terry, thank you for calling. I love you. And we actually just not voted her into our family, so she's now part of my family now.
Okay.
But definitely
Thank you,
a lot of people calling. But thank you, Terry, for calling in, and we will talk soon.
And you can pass on my number in case she ever wants to talk.
I will.
I'm here.
I will.
Thank you, Miss Terry.
Love you, Terry.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Same to
Love
you.
you, girl.
Folks, the phone lines are still open, 803-692-6370. Again, 803-692-6370. Sex Trafficking, a Mom's Journey. You are live on the El Michelle Show.
Yes, yes. But like I said, y'all, I wanted y'all to hear her story and know that not to put a scare, but to put a scare. This could be
it's an eye-opener.
It's an eye-opener. This could be your child. This could be your grandchild.
Yes.
If the school systems, once again, it comes down to when we talked about with the guns in the school.
Yes.
The school system and our kids safe in the school system. And here's another example. We went from now guns to now sex trafficking to where there's also drugs and all this stuff going on. We have to get involved. If you have a school in your community, you have to get involved.
Yes.
Yeah, and there has to be some accountability as well. We can't turn the blind eye to an accountability. So folks, if you have an ear out there, please let's get together in numbers. Let's shoot out some emails. Let's call the phone lines in and see what we can do to support Miss Chanel. Because this isn't something that anybody would want to expect from their child. And one thing that I know for a fact as a dad, when I send my kid off to school, I expect for my kid to come back home safe.
Right. That's right.
Now, I can see if she was walking home from school and got picked up on the side of the street.
Right.
But you come
We're talking about
the school.
in the school. That's infiltration. So we're quick. And again, you can say what you want. I'm going to say it. We quick to jump out here when guns start happening and when children listen, folks, I'm passionate about this thing and I'm calling it the way we see it. When things happen and when things happen to certain individuals, let's call it what it is. They quick to support so quickly. But right now we have a child, an isolated child, and it happens across the board, but we got to look at it as individuals.
That's
you
right.
got a mom that's pleading and there's no support from the system that we send our children to school in.
They would not even give me an Amber Alert. And they had video footage.
We need answers.
And that's another thing too. And because they're paying other kids.
Yes.
And it's in the school.
Yes.
What is the school? You worried about your reputation because the video will show who the students are?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it gets to a point where who cares?
Well, even to the investigation standpoint, right? So you have these two boys that came in and targeted her. So we would bring them in for questioning to figure out who they know, who paid them, and etc. This one individual that's incarcerated, is he working? Let's get to the ringleader,
exactly.
Right? So when we're looking at drugs, we get to the ringleader, right? Not the guy selling the dime bags, right? So let's get to the ringleader behind this, unless it's somebody in their system that they know that's being paid, that they're sending these. Let's just call it what it is.
Right.
That they're sending these young girls to during certain times of the night or during certain events. Come on, let's just call this thing out, man. Let's whistleblow it.
Right.
Exactly. And I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you said it, Mrs. Tammy, because if you don't want to show the video, what you hiding?
You got something.
And so they told me I couldn't see the video in December, and so I have all of them. I never talk on the phone verbally. I email because my trust has been broken as a parent.
Exactly.
So this is not a conversation that's really even up for a debate because I have everything in email. And with the principal, Dr. Fur, I will call it, and I asked her, I need to see this video. Like, I need to know what happened, how it happened, accountability, responsibility, and especially with your staff. You know, this is supposed to be, I uprooted from Baltimore City to come here and raise my children.
Wow.
So this is supposed to be a good school. I'm away from everything.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, let's go back to the phone lines.
Yeah.
Hello, caller. State your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, how are you this evening? My name is Pastor Stacy. I'm calling from Charlotte. We're recent transplants down here. But the reason I wanted to call in is because our family was targeted up in the Philadelphia area. Our 3 daughters. And I will tell you, when you try to speak out and you try to get help, no one believes you. No one wants to listen to you. They think it is something you or your kids are done or been into. Yep. We really, it was horrible. I did do positive ID. They were able to arrest one of the people, but we didn't even know what was going on when they first started stalking our 3 daughters, okay? Now, at the end of the day, let me tell you what ended up happening with my family. We ended up getting a police escort out of Philadelphia for the safety of our children. We ended up homeless. We ended up finding a place to stay where we had to sleep on the floor and everything like that. I was in and out of the city trying to get this whole thing wrapped up without getting the kind of support we needed. And at the end of the day, the deputy commissioner is now commissioner. He wasn't commissioner then. I got a phone call from the deputy commissioner who wanted to know had we found a safe place, was everybody safe, well, healthy, dry kind of thing. And I was trying to make it so we could go back to our home. The day we left with a police escort, these sex traffickers had planned a home invasion.
Oh, my.
The van was out there. They had lined our steps. The police came, scattered them, but told us they had to get us out of the house ASAP because it was a planned home invasion. They had made 2 other attempts with pit bulls and weapons to get in the house to grab our 3 daughters.
Wow.
When we left with only three trash bags full of our belongings after living in West Philadelphia for 19 years.
Wow.
And to this day, I will tell you, we have not been back to West Philadelphia. What we left with 3 trash bags full is all we had, and had to start our lives all over again. This thing is real.
Yep.
New York is doing a better job handling it, because we did get connected with some folks up in New York who are trying to help us get things done. But I never went back to Philadelphia, so I don't know how Philadelphia is handling it now. But at the end of the day, we found out that these particular sex traffickers had come down out of New York, had settled in the area of West Philly where we were. The guy that got arrested was living around the corner, 2 blocks around from us, and they had watched our daughters. They had watched our daughters for approximately an entire year before they made their effort to snatch all 3 of our girls. We were told that there had been a price put on the head of our 3 daughters. There was actually someone who, I guess, ordered them or wanted them, and they were supposed to snatch our 3 daughters unscathed because of the amount they were going to get, I'm going to put it in quotes, 3 little Catholic girls. They thought our daughters were going to Catholic school. They were going to private Christian school, but they weren't Catholic school.
Yeah.
And so they wanted 3 little Catholic girls and had a price on our daughter's head.
My God.
This thing is real.
It's real.
It is real. It is scary. It turns your life upside down. We went through post-traumatic stress. I can't even begin to tell you. And so listen, God bless you. My prayers are for you and your daughter. We are now living in Charlotte. This was about 6 years ago. This was about 6 years ago. But we just moved to Charlotte last year.
Okay.
But we have been a couple places before getting to Charlotte. And when I came down to Charlotte and found out how much of it goes on here, I said, God, you've got to be kidding me.
Number one.
It's in the top.
I think we're at, last time I checked, I believe it was number 1. And I mean, because of course now I do a lot of research, you know, as far as stats, like where are we, what's being done, what's in, and that's one of the heartbreaking things too, that you try to get away from it. But if you, and what I learned, that if you move in any city that has an international airport, you are at higher risk.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I'm still listening. I will continue to listen.
Definitely.
And like I said, bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the same with you. My prayers are with you and your family as well.
And at the end of the show, definitely hit me in my inbox so that I can get you and Chantel in contact, because and like we said, in numbers of support, definitely you're here, and like we said earlier, in numbers we can do some massive things.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Folks, the phone line is still open, 803-692-6370, 803-692-7370. The El Michelle Show, you are live on the air, WBND Radio. What's good?
And we're going to take a little break, because I think Mama, myself, I think we all just need to take a breather. So we're going to take a little break, and Mr. Entertainment is going to find us something to play, and we'll be right back.
To the #1 internet radio station on the planet. WBND Radio. Home of the Brothers in Demand Radio Show. This is gospel music 24/7.
We come to worship Christ.
Listening to the sound.
Find out what's going on.
WBND calls the El Michelle Show.
Thank you for calling.
Hey. Hi. I appreciate the topic, and my heart goes out to the young lady there. And El Michelle, I really appreciate you having this topic on. Mr. Entertainment, thank you very much for hosting. Yeah, this is Fo Hunter from Hyattsville, Maryland.
Hey.
I've worked with an organization for domestic violence, imminent danger, sexual assault, sex slave trade, and those sort of things. I've worked with the population in the safe houses. And, it really surprised me at how prevalent it was. We would receive all at once just a phone call, and we would have 8, 9, or 10 people who were victimized by the sex slave trade people. And, just the police just happened to come across them, on a bus or something like that, and rescue them, and we take them in and house them and repatriate them back to their countries or whatever, or to relatives if we could find them, I want to ask these ladies, the other lady that called in, but also the young lady in the studio, do you think that the authorities would have had a different approach or been a little bit more attentive to your situation had you been white?
Yes, I know they would have, because actually when my daughter went into the national database, I actually found out, and I can't remember the story, but I screenshotted it, and it was actually another young lady who was actually missing as well, and she was the same age, and she was a white female. And she actually got an Amber Alert for her case, and she was found out in Atlanta, whereas my daughter, she was 14, and she was a black female, and they said that we did not qualify for an Amber Alert.
Yeah, that's kind of what I get. That's kind of what I get. And, I'm not a racist guy. White people died in the slave trade and protecting black people, and they marched with King. So all white people aren't bad.
Most certainly. Most certainly.
But the system itself is bad towards people of color.
Right. And I actually asked.
It just is.
I asked the question, what would qualify my daughter to have an Amber Alert at the time when she went missing, and is an application you actually fill out, and they send it out to Raleigh. And they said that if Raleigh did not approve it without reason, it's just some don't get approved and some do. So in our case, we weren't approved, so we had to look on our own.
Yes.
And also,
I've had. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say also too, information, inbox me so that I also can give Chantel information. Yes. The more help, the better, because like I said, she no help at all. So even for both moms that just called in, we definitely want to get as much exposure. Like I said, everybody share, because this could be your child. Yep. This could be your neighbor's child. This could be your anybody. And the more people that have experienced this, I'm glad that you called in. She needs help. And this is what we're here for, to get exposed.
Does she have an attorney? I'm not an attorney, but does she have one?
As far as the attorney goes, I was explaining earlier that because a lot of things on the civil rights side of things, because a lot of things has happened as far as me having accessibility to classwork, curriculum, and things like that. I don't have anyone to represent me on the civil rights. And I have someone who is working with me to possibly represent me. He took the case on the injury side of things. And we have, so it's even down to attorneys, it's like far and few. And it took me almost about 2 years to even locate an attorney that would even sit down and consider taking the case.
Wow. Yeah, I think we need an organization that really caters to the injustices done to African Americans and all people of color.
Yes.
In this system.
And I totally agree.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I said I totally agree. I mean, when I sat down and I was asking the attorney, how could this even be? And what he explained to me that Charlotte was, as far as legislation, it was like a state of immunity. So when it comes to really trying to have anyone held accountable and be responsible for an injury such as this one, it would be like, and his words was, it would be like trying to sue God. However, I had enough evidence where he did take the case, but he said that's why it had been so hard. And so I went through every channel that you possibly could probably think of to just find an attorney, you know, that could even, you know, start a look. And like I said, that took me about 2 years, but I refused to give up.
And we also need to make sure that we have the attorneys that are not, I hate to say it like this, connected and that's not afraid to take on a case. Now, I've seen that in the court systems. I've seen that within attorneys because they all are connected.
Right.
And they don't realize, you know, this could be you. You know what I'm saying? So, Mr. Hunter, you know, if you can help in any way, again, please, this mom needs help. There's tons of moms, and like you say, you don't want to sound racist, but you don't want to pull the card, but there are a lot of African American that are families that are not being helped. It's all around.
It's not racist if it's true.
It's data. It's data, and like I said with this, I get some phone calls mainly just in Charlotte so far. You know, with parents all the time, and it's like as soon as one parent call me and we fix them, is another parent calling.
My God.
And recently I had a parent that called, and she was reaching out for help, and she knew my story, and because her child was disabled, but because she had just turned 18 and mom didn't have guardianship, although we had a lot of information and it was guns, pictures I had, and I reached out and I, you know, to the authorities on her behalf, because I know how that looked. And I also have an organization back me, CUC 100, and so it's like a lot of us, and I get phone numbers and things like that. So I use some of my resources that I use, and because she was 18, there was no help for her, and so even to today, her daughter is pretty much being sold, but she's 18, and there's nothing we can do because of the laws and legislation.
My God.
Wow.
I told y'all tonight, y'all, this...
I don't even know. Listen, I don't usually be lost for words, but I want to say so much, but I can't get it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a daughter, and I know, you know, what goes through my head when she leaves, and I be praying to God, I want her to come back, and that is a fear. You know, and I don't want to be afraid, but that's just one of those things that I think about constantly. Even my son, you know, he's a big boy, but still, you know, it's across the board. You know what I'm saying? And then to not get any help. Now you ask yourself, what do I do? You know, but for you not to give up, you know, bless you, woman of God, bless you for not giving up. Because we can't give up, folks. And I love this support system. I love the calls. Hunter, thank you so much. Guys, your messages on Facebook means a lot.
Hunter, hit me in my inbox for your number and information so I can get to Chantel. And thank you for calling in.
And thank you, Mr. Hunter.
Yeah. And I would like to say before I go that, you know, I'm really tired of the merry-go-round system that brutalizes our men, our women, our children in a systematic way. Very, very harsh, uncaring, and when the shoe's on the other foot of a race or culture that's more fair-skinned, you know, we see lots of action. We see all kinds of supports being pulled out and all kind of news articles and everything. You know, they had about 14 to 20 young black girls disappear in D.C., nation's capital. And they were not on the Amber Alert.
Nope.
You know? But let one child, fair-skinned white child, disappear. And it's plastered all over the news. And I'm just kind of fed up with it.
Well, we're going to do something about it.
So I plan to fight. I can't stop. And I'm not a grandmom yet. But, I mean, I think about this thing as far as thinking about my grandchildren. And let's not be fooled. Boys are caught into this trafficking ring as well.
White girls.
Yes,
right.
boys are too, and boys,
correct.
you know, if they are not out there recruiting these girls, they're being beat as well. They're being shot and hurt and killed as well.
Yes.
And then if we already have a whole war on our men as it is already, it's like, you know, is bigger than we would like to admit. And legislation do not want to have this conversation. However, they have to have this conversation.
Well, we will be
thank
working.
you, and I applaud your courage and your
Thank you.
commitment to your children. And, you know, my prayers are with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, too. And I look forward to talking to you.
Bye, Hunter.
Bye, Hunter.
right.
Thank you so much for calling.
Wow.
Whew.
So, folks, we really got to get on board. WBND, if you're just now joining us, it's the El Michelle Show.
Yes.
We're live on the air. Sex trafficking, a mom's story. And I am telling you, it is one that you would have to go back and play over and over. Miss Chantel Evans, guest in the building, El Michelle Show. Mr. Entertainment live in the building. The call line's still open, 803-692-6370. Give us a call. Let us know what your thoughts are, your concerns, anything that you can do to help. Your support is needed. There is power
very much needed
in numbers.
Now, Chantel, you was also telling me what's going on as far as in schooling. What is the process? That's one. Actually, I'm gonna make that second. What is going on as far as in help for your daughter? What's you was telling me that you go an hour.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, tell everybody what's going on with that, with the treatment, and then we'll talk about the school.
Okay. Yeah. So I have tried, I guess, what Charlotte, North Carolina offer as far as the mental health sector of things. The typical going to Billingsley. I've tried everything. Partial, stay, just everything in Charlotte. And it's proven that they really didn't have the accommodations.
Is that insurance reasons, health reasons, or they just don't know how to adapt?
They cannot. They're not prepared to deal with. I mean, mental health. Period. They want to medicate her, give her some pills.
Thinking that's going to go away.
Well, they did that for a while, and when I seen that she was getting far off worse. When they were giving her the medication, I started to say, look, no, I'm not going to give her this medication because I had another child who we went through bullying in Charlotte. And we did the medication thing, so I knew that was not the right thing to do. So I started to just, try and talk to them and say, let's do something else. And we started to do the 6-day stay thing. So we would stay in the hospital for 6 days, come back home. Go back to the hospital because we have an episode, stay for 6 days. So I got tired of that. And I told them I'm not going to allow her to come back home, and I'm not going to allow you all to medicate her the way that you're doing. We have to sit down and we have to do a real evaluation. And if you can't do that, we need to find somebody who can. And they just pretty much told me, well, she needs this medication, and if you don't. So we kind of just was put out of the hospital. They called CPS on me. So I was
wondering if they ever called it.
Yes, I got a CPS case called on me. I had to sit in front of a court hearing in the hospital and plead my case on why I felt like my daughter should stay and get treatment, even if it wasn't medication. She needs at least, at this point, my thing was supervision because she had tried to commit suicide and things like that. So I have other children, and I'm trying to watch her, and then now I don't know what to do. You all, are trained to do this.
Professionals, that's right.
And so it can't be a case of neglect if I'm bringing her to the hospital.
Exactly.
So they told me I was neglecting my child because I refused to take her home. I explained the safety measures in the house. I explained, because at this time, so at one point he had made bail. So I explained, we need to, we can't do it like this. And so I went through that process, and I was sitting home, and I had a lady reach out to me. I can't remember how we crossed paths. I think in a hospital, somebody in the hospital, that's what happened. She said, I have a friend, she do this training out here. She said, I want you to call her. I don't know if she can help, but just call her. So I gave her a call, and she started shooting me all these numbers and names. So I I started to, at this point, I just started to go through every list that she gave me. And she said, you know, call this lady. I use this for my personal care. And she was a white lady. And she said, I use this for my son. You know, let's see if it'll work for you. She said, you know, just call straight. So I called in, and she told me to bring my daughter out. And it was in Stanley County. And I brought my daughter out. And from there on, that has been our way. We haven't had one hospital stay since we use equine therapy opposed to the clinical therapy, the pills and things like that. It's my first time ever hearing about equine therapy. I've never heard about it.
That's holistic?
Yes, it's a more holistic approach, where we just pretty much, you know, we're getting in touch with our feelings. We're touching our feelings. We're not being asked what happened per se. You know, it's kind of a God-led type of deal. And my daughter loves animals, so she gets to work with animals, and I never seen horses up close. So she gets to like work with the horses, and I'm scared of them, but she gets to work with them. You
have to ride that horse.
I'm not riding any horses.
I love you, girl. I ain't getting that horse.
Yeah, like the horse, like I put my hand in his mouth, and that was it for me.
You got to get used to Mr. Ed now.
No. I can be the photographer. So, and that's been amazing. My daughter, she said she loves it, and the most thing that she says she loves about it, first she said she get to take her time. She said, Mom, if I don't feel like talking, I don't have to. And for the most part, she don't like to talk about it. She just don't want to talk about it. And so when we were going through what Behavior Health had told us to do their regimen, she was getting worse and worse and worse. And so I believe that it's systematically put there for me to break. I believe, you know, because you already, and I've had this saying, you won't make profit off of my daughter pain. So my thing is, and I've been to say, you need to go to the hospital, telling me as her mom, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. I know where my source come from.
Amen.
So because of that, and I've even told them, you know, everybody look at me and they say, how you making it? I stay out of my flesh.
Come on.
And I'm always in my spirit.
That's it.
Because every time I go into that fleshly place, just, you know, just...
You want to react a certain way.
Certain way, exactly. Now... okay.
I do a lot of things.
I know what the real me want to do sometimes.
Well, let me ask you this question. When she goes up there, are they also have you in sessions and stuff too? Are they doing stuff for you too? Because I see... Hearing it, and I'm saying... What about the support? And I see that's with all the cases. I mean, from murders to suicides, or even with the military vets and I always mess the words up. What's the word? Postpartum.
Post-traumatic stress syndrome.
You know, traumatic. Good word. But
you wasn't know, but I always get that messed up.
I give some scripture.
Come on now, we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that.
Saying, right? But they always treat the victims and the source, but it's always the family, the friends that are close. There's never a support for them,
right?
So, is it something? I know you have your prayer and your faith, but let's be really real. How are you doing, and are they also helping you? Are you learning from what they're doing with her? You understand what I mean by that?
Yes, I'm welcome to come in. So sometimes I might chime in if I want to. But as far as a focus on me and what that feels like, I'm not getting treatment from there or anybody else. Like I said, I've joined, a lot of my support came from, I joined Community Unity Centers 100, and it's a bunch of like non-profit and for-profit organizations that kind of linked up to one, and somebody there do something different. So if I'm having a moment, for the most part, I reach out to them, somebody there. Lisa Lee, like Lisa Lee is the founder of Porcelain Dolls, and so
I got to talk to her.
Me and her, I talked to her some, but I'm the type, I need you to at least have experience, because I feel like I'm wasting my time.
Come on.
I'm not one, and you don't have to have a book for me. Like, you can, like, you need to, I always tell people this, you need to be appointed and anointed for the position.
Listen. Know your stuff, woman, because you are preaching over here. Because a lot of times, and again, support is great. I get it, right? But the whole thing now is the experience piece. Yes. What have you been through? So, folks, that's why I'm really asking if you've been through it and there's a healing process. There is power in numbers. That's why I want to speak to you off air, because there's a lot more I want to cover, and you can't cover all this in one show. So this is great. And
let me get to the second part. As far as in schooling.
Okay.
What's going on as far as in school, and what's being done? I know. Well, when she tells me this, it's
school is bad. It's bad. So, but we are dealing with the cards that we are dealt.
You're homeschooling her?
It's called homebound.
Homebound. Okay.
Yes. So the reason we do homebound, and there's a difference. Is it
choice?
No, it's doctor ordered out.
Okay.
She has post-traumatic stress syndrome now. So, and with guns being back in the school, I don't think she'll ever return, and it's heartbreaking. I have to tell her that, and I'm slowly feeding her that. But we have homebound. Homebound, what I found out is pretty much like a few of retired administrators from CMS that, from what I'm getting, still have a heart, and for whatever reason they do some teaching. The deal with this is they're not certified to teach the courses that they're teaching.
My God.
So with that, so for instance, and I mean by, if you have a biology class, you might have an English teacher that has biology, science.
Got you.
And so we are working together, and I'm telling her, so pretty much I'm doing CMS job. I'm saying, look, we're going to figure this out, even if we have to YouTube it. One teacher spoke, she said, I believe that this is busy work. At one point, we was getting slips home, and my daughter I stepped in place for her, but we were getting work home, and the work, it had the answers on the back. And so my daughter, she came, she said, Mom, and she's an intelligent girl, she said, Mom, I want to learn. And I said, okay, you can learn. I said, why don't you feel like you're not learning? Like, we out of the school now, we smaller setting, what's going on? And she says, well, I just look at the answer key and then I write it. And so I said, well, that's not acceptable. So I went to the teacher, and we had a talk, and I told her, that's not acceptable. I understand that these children, exceptional children program, I understand that they, not well, but children are able to learn.
Absolutely.
You just probably have to do things a little bit different. And she pretty much told me she's not on my case anymore. She didn't have time for me. And she thought that, I was being, I guess, nasty. And so I called her boss and, expressed, what my daughter had told me, and we wasn't getting what we needed.
Now, can you homeschool her? Or you said it's a...
I'm planning on homeschooling her after this June.
Okay.
So the reason I did not take her right out is because all the doors were shut in my face. So I never really knew anything, and her whole school record is completely lies, like down to the attendance, down to the assignments we have, down to everything is lies.
Wow.
So what I told them, we need to get rid of the whole school record and start over. But now she's supposed to be eventually going to the 11th grade, so now they want to go ahead and pass her on and she graduate early. But then now that means my daughter didn't get an education. If the incident happened in 9th grade, she never had a high school experience at all.
Right.
So our whole high school experience, as what we thought, never happened.
And I have somebody that I'm also going to give a number that does homeschooling.
Okay.
And she also dealing with also, she has resources too.
Yes.
So we're going to flood you with some real resources that will actually make some things happen and to get it right. But like I said, I wanted your voice to be heard. And I know that there are tons of folks that are out there that you have the resource, you have the information, these moms, these dads, the families need help.
Yes.
And if you have it within your heart, call. Yes. Y'all, you can always inbox me. How can they get in touch with you?
They can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I do good with my email, so uniqueblessings.704@gmail.com.
Say that one more time.
Unique Blessings, UNIQUE Blessings, BLESSINGS as 704@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you,
folks. It's been a great show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
May God continue on with your strength.
Thank you.
We are here for you. The B&D family is here for you.
Oh, yeah.
This is just a start.
That's right.
Yes. I thank you.
You can breathe. You can breathe. Matter of fact,
finally, thank you.
Why would you hold
this?
I'll see y'all next week. Watch the replay. Thank y'all for watching and sharing. Remember, love, 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 and most of all, love yourself.
On purpose.
On purpose, yes.
This is Gospel Music 24/7.
Come to worship Christ.
You're listening to The Sound.